All right, so in this section, we're going to actually be plotting sine and cosine on a graph where our x-axis is going to be our theta value axis, and then our y-axis is either going to be our sine of theta or our cosine of theta value. And so it's like theta comma sine theta or theta comma cosine theta. And so then what we need to know before we start is what happens when I do these things on my number line. And so you'll notice we want to figure out what is the sine of 30, the sine of 390, and the sine of negative 330. So go ahead and pause the video and take a moment to answer those questions. So you should notice that you got the sine of 30 to be 1/2, and 390 is 1/2, and negative 330 is also 1/2. So if you look on the unit circle, we said that sine is represented by the y coordinate on the unit circle. So 30 degrees gives us a y value of 1/2. What 390 would do is go one full revolution plus another 30, and again, we'd be back at 1/2. And what negative 330 does is go around backwards, and it would stop 30 degrees before a full revolution, and again, we'd end up at 1/2. So each time we do a revolution and land back at 30 degrees, we're going to come back to 1/2. And so what that's called is a periodic function. So using that same unit circle, go ahead and find the cosine of pi, the cosine of 3 pi, and the cosine of negative pi. So remember, cosine is represented by the x value on the unit circle. So at pi units, we have an x value of -1. Now, if we go around 3 pi, that means 1, 2, 3 pi, we end up back here at -1. Or if we go clockwise pi units, we still end up here at -1. So you'll notice each time we go around a full revolution and stop at pi, we're going to have that value of -1. So you'll see on here, cosine of pi, whoops, went a little backwards. Cosine of pi is -1, cosine of 3 pi is also -1, and the cosine of negative pi is -1. And so all of them give the same answer, and that means that these are examples of periodic functions. And so a function is periodic if for some number alpha, that f of x plus alpha is the same as f of x for every x in the domain of the function. So for example, if we're working in degrees, that alpha value would be 360 degrees, because I can take 360 and add it to any measure, and I get the same value as that original measure. I could also let alpha be 2 pi if we're in radians, because the measure of an angle is, the sine of an angle is the same as the sine of an angle plus 2 pi if we're working in radians. And so the least value for alpha, for which the function is still the same as the function of x plus alpha, is called the period of the function. So it's a periodic function, and the period is the smallest value that it takes for us to figure out the beginning of the next period. So what that can look like is, for example, this is representing a foghorn. So imagine if you're sailing on the coast and there's a lighthouse and there's a bunch of rocks, they have this foghorn to let you know where the rocks are located. So it says periodic phenomena are common in everyday life. So the first graph portrays the loudness of a foghorn as a function of time. So remember, the foghorn spins around. So when it's pointing at the boat, it's going to be its loudest. And when it points away from the boat, it's going to be at its quietest. And then it's going to raise as it points towards the boat, and so on and so forth. So like it says, the sound rises quickly to its loudest level, holds for about 2 seconds, and drops off a little more quickly than it rose. Then it remains quiet for 4 seconds before beginning a new cycle. And so they said the period of the cycle is 8 seconds. So this is what I compare it to. The period would be like a rubber stamp that I want to buy to build this graph. And I don't want to spend too much money on my rubber stamp, because the bigger the rubber stamp, the more money I have to spend. Okay, so I want to buy the smallest rubber stamp that still does the whole entire function. So if I come over here, I know I need these 2 seconds and I need to rise. And if I use that as my rubber stamp, do you see that I'd come back down here again and rise, and I would never have it coming back down. So I'd have to come all the way back down for another 2 seconds. And then if I stop it there and I build my rubber stamp from there, then I can take that stamp and stamp it again over here and stamp it again over here and so on and so forth. And you notice where I stopped was at 8 seconds. So I needed 8 seconds worth of a rubber stamp, and that's why the period of the cycle is 8 seconds. All right, so here are some examples of possibly periodic functions. And again, think of it as a rubber stamp. The rubber stamp can't rise or lower. It's going to stay the same horizontal, in the same horizontal spot, just moving to the right or moving to the left. So if we take a look at question number 3, we want to figure out, is this periodic? And so if I did a rubber stamp of just the upward side, that wouldn't be enough to create the whole graph because I can't rotate my rubber stamp. But if I do the up and the down of my rubber stamp, then I could stamp it to get this one. I could come over here and stamp it and keep stamping it to the left and keep stamping it to the right, and I have my whole entire function. So I can say that yes, this is periodic. And then the next part says, if it is periodic, what is the period? And you notice I ended my stamp at 8. So the period is equal to 8. Okay. If we take a look at question number 4, if I try to buy a rubber stamp that looks like this, and then I stamped it on this side, do you see that it would have to look like that again? Because I can't rotate my rubber stamp if it's periodic. And since that's not what the right-hand side looks like, this is not periodic. So pause the video and see if you can answer number 5 and number 6. So hopefully you see that number 5 is periodic. We need a slope up, a plateau, and then a slope down in order to build that rubber stamp. And then I can take that rubber stamp, stamp it here, and even more. And my rubber stamp stopped at 4. So we would say, yes, this is periodic, and that the period is equal to 4. All right, so again, try that number 6. And if I tried to just do this top part, I would just have a bunch of hills over the x-axis. So I need a top part and I need a bottom part. And then once I have that, I can take that little wave and I can put it here, and I can put it here, and I can put it here, and it's exactly the same. And it stopped at 4. And so I can say, yes, this is periodic, and the period is equal to 4.